You may not believe it, but sometimes the person who wants to harm you is the one who always smiles, is close to you, and even shares meals with you every day. Friendship, which should be a safe haven, can sometimes become the most dangerous trap if you don't recognize the subtle warning signs. In today's video, we will explore the 5 most obvious signs that your friend may be plotting to harm you, even poison you, and why you should never eat that particular dish when you have a bad feeling. Watch until the end of the video to protect yourself and your loved ones, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other important content that helps you live more alert, safe, and strong every day. Imagine you're sitting in a familiar space, your kitchen or a cafe you and your best friend often visit. Everything seems normal until you start to feel a strange gaze, as if someone is watching every sip you take, every time you pick up your spoon. Your friend smiles affectionately, but their eyes don't quite match the expression on their face. You just took a bite of a cake they insisted you try, and suddenly you feel something's off, not just in your body, but in your trust. The frightening part is, poisoning doesn't always come from an enemy. Sometimes, it comes from someone you once trusted the most. And that makes the whole situation harder to believe, leading you to overlook subtle yet extremely dangerous signs. Some people poison out of jealousy, others out of hidden hatred disguised as concern, or worse, they want to control you by weakening you little by little. A often underestimated yet very telling sign is when your friend starts finding ways to access your fridge, offering to help prepare meals, or bringing you a special drink they claim is good for your health. Don't misunderstand, some people are genuinely kind. But if these actions occur unusually often, along with a watchful gaze while you consume what they've prepared, pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this real concern, or is something dangerous being disguised? We often don't want to believe that someone close to us could harm us. That's why those with malicious intentions can easily hide their plans. You don't suspect them, and they take advantage of that. Pay attention to seemingly harmless questions like, what do you usually drink your coffee with? Or, are you allergic to anything? Because sometimes it's not care, but an attempt to gather information to harm you in a precise and undetectable way. In the next moments of the video, you'll learn more subtle but extremely dangerous signs, helping you distinguish between a true friend and someone pretending to be your friend while slowly poisoning you. Watch until the end to fully understand the masks they wear, and share this video to protect not just yourself, but also those around you from the lurking dangers hiding behind the guise of friendship. Have you ever wondered why you often feel unwell after meeting a specific friend, even though those meetings aren't stressful and everything seems normal? Poisoning doesn't always show up with obvious signs like in the movies. In reality, the most dangerous poisoners are often the ones who know how to make you feel comfortable and even make you doubt your own instincts. Poisoning doesn't always cause immediate reactions like collapsing or coma. Sometimes it's a dull stomach ache, a brief dizziness, or simply a strange tiredness that you attribute to reasons like lack of sleep or work stress. But if you pay close attention, do these symptoms only occur when you're around a particular person? And does that person often take the initiative to prepare drinks or food for you persistently? Remember, in many recorded cases, the victim didn't think they were being poisoned until the symptoms became too obvious or too coincidental. Like Rebecca, every time she drank coffee made by her college friend, she felt terrible. But only when she refused the special sweetener packet that day and suddenly didn't experience any symptoms, did all the pieces start to fall into place. When someone always insists on being the one to make the drinks, choose the food, or do it for you to make it easier, it's not necessarily pure kindness. In alarming situations, that behavior could be part of a deeper pattern of control and manipulation. And what's worrying is, such people are often very good at hiding their true intentions. They may pretend to care, use gentle words, and always make sure you feel taken care of. But behind that facade, they observe your reactions closely, even remembering how you're affected, as if you're their living experiment. No one wants to doubt their friends. But if you frequently feel off when interacting with a specific person, start keeping track. Note the time, symptoms, the food you ate, and who prepared it. It's not paranoia, it's smart self-defense. In the next part, we will dive deeper into another sign that almost no one recognizes until it's too late, A small yet highly suspicious behavior that can reveal whether that friend is hiding something dark or not. Don't leave this video. Your alertness could be the shield protecting your very life. You may have experienced a chilling moment when someone in the middle of a casual conversation suddenly mentions something too detailed, too specific, to the point where you begin to wonder, why do they know so much? It could be information about the dosage of sleeping pills that causes short-term memory loss, or a brief but insightful comment about how colorless, odorless toxins can easily dissolve into alcohol without anyone noticing. At that moment, you may laugh awkwardly, trying to brush it off as a mere coincidence. But deep down, a sense of alertness begins to form. This is the third sign that few people pay attention to: abnormal knowledge of harmful substances or easy access to them. Not everyone who knows a lot about chemistry has bad intentions, but if someone frequently brings up topics like poisoning, anesthetics, or undetectable methods with enthusiasm and repeats these topics, it's not just academic curiosity. Remember, many documented cases show that the perpetrators aren't outsiders. They are often friends, family, people we once trusted. They could be nurses, lab technicians, or simply someone who has read too much about poisons. Some even have the habit of collecting or storing dangerous substances with the excuse of research or just a personal interest. But when someone has the knowledge, access, and close connections with you, you need to observe them very carefully. One example that haunted me was the story of a man named Dan. He often experienced headaches and digestive issues after drinking with a group of old friends. No one else in the group had the same symptoms. One day, during a casual chat, someone in the group began detailing how a veterinary drug could cause drowsiness without being detected if tested more than 12 hours later. He shared it like a thrilling story, but Dan couldn't forget the excited look in that person's eyes as he spoke. When Dan quietly swapped his drink with someone else's in the next meeting, that friend suddenly became the one who felt dizzy. Knowledge itself is not wrong. But when knowledge is used for harmful purposes, with a strange obsession, it becomes a crucial warning sign. If someone often talks about poisoning, illness, or shares overly specific information about how to harm others in ways that are hard to detect, that's not a harmless conversation. It could be a warning. In the next part, we'll explore another chilling sign, a behavior that seems caring but might hide a sinister plot. Stay tuned, because your awareness could be the only thing keeping you safe. There is nothing wrong with someone being curious about true crime, forensic science, or even famous cases. Curiosity is a natural part of being human. But when a friend begins to show an unhealthy obsession with toxins, especially their use and biological effects, you need to stop and reflect. Because when interest moves beyond the ordinary and starts to dive into details that even textbooks don't mention, like the exact dosage needed to cause liver failure or the half-life of a specific toxin in the bloodstream, it is no longer a passion for learning. It's a warning signal. You might hear unusual questions like, if someone has liver problems, how would they react differently to the toxicity of Amanita mushrooms? Or, does an elderly person on blood pressure medication become more susceptible to atropine? At first glance, this might seem like medical curiosity, but when asked repeatedly in inappropriate circumstances or without any clear academic purpose, it could be a sign that a plan is being developed. One example shared within the community of those who survived dangerous relationships. A woman lived with her best friend for 3 years and never suspected anything until she noticed that her friend had started growing poisonous garlic, a plant known to be highly toxic if eaten raw. She joked that it was just for decoration in the kitchen. But when the woman discovered that herbalism books were marked with pages about extracting toxins, her intuition told her it was time to step away. You see, it's the intent that makes the difference. Someone can have extensive knowledge about toxins without ever harming anyone. But when the intent is masked by a hobby, and that knowledge begins to focus on ways to harm others without being detected, you should trust your sense of unease. Survivors often share that what they first felt wasn't evidence, but a sense of discomfort, something vague but compelling that urged them to stay alert. If you notice someone collecting books on poisons, growing toxic plants, or spending hours watching videos on how victims can't recognize they've been poisoned, don't just chalk it up to coincidence. Ask questions. Take note. And above all, trust your instincts, because sometimes that's the first warning system you have. In the next part, we'll explore the fourth sign, a behavior that may seem caring but could be a subtle control tactic that leads you into a dangerous state of dependence. Stay tuned. Not all people with dark intentions attack through direct actions. Some choose a quiet, subtle, and calculated approach to gradually remove the barriers that prevent them from achieving their goals. And what's even more frightening is when you are the target. In this fourth sign, you will see a very dangerous pattern. A gradual change in behavior aimed at isolating you from your familiar support network, making you emotionally, socially, and even physically weak and dependent on the very person who is trying to harm you. It doesn't start with fits of anger or odd behaviors. It begins with gentle, seemingly caring remarks. "I think your mom has been a bit controlling lately, don't you think?" Or, "Your friend Sarah doesn't really support what you're doing, does she?" These repeated comments gradually create distance between you and those closest to you. And when you begin to doubt those who have always been by your side, the manipulator has already made it halfway. What makes this tactic extremely dangerous is its slow pace and subtlety in execution. No one will scream at you that they want to isolate you. Instead, they make you believe that you are the one choosing to distance yourself from others, that you need space, that you are growing out of old relationships. By the time you look back, you find that you have no one to lean on but them, the only one left, and the only one who controls your food, medication, and daily life. Another sign you need to be especially cautious of: they begin paying abnormal attention to your declining health, not to help, but to tell others. They talk to others about how you look increasingly pale, seem to be having stomach issues, or don't seem to be eating much. On one hand, they create the image of a caring friend. On the other, they're already crafting a story to cover up anything that may happen next, as if your declining health is just a natural occurrence and has nothing to do with them. This is no longer innocent curiosity or thoughtless behavior. This is a plan, and you need to recognize it before it's too late. Ask yourself, who is making you distance yourself from those who love you the most? Who is acting overly concerned about your health? And most importantly, who has full control over what you eat, drink, and interact with each day without you even noticing? In the next part, we'll explore the fifth sign, when your trust becomes the most dangerous tool for someone to manipulate and harm you. Don't miss it. Although you may not want to believe that a friend, someone who has shared everyday stories, cozy evenings, and future dreams with you, could secretly be planning to harm you, the painful reality is that this is entirely possible. In this final part, the fifth sign is the clearest warning: abnormal behavior related to the preparation and handling of food and drinks. A friend with ill intentions will no longer act like a typical friend. They become extremely proactive, even imposing, when it comes to controlling what you eat and drink. They insist on letting me do it, from pouring your water, making coffee, to offering you food they've put a lot of effort into preparing. This is no longer typical kindness. It's controlling behavior disguised as goodwill. An unusual concern about what you consume is a sign that they are trying to gain exclusive access to your body through your mouth. They might act hurt if you refuse. They might joke that you're too paranoid if you don't want to try the cake they just made. They could drop seemingly harmless comments like, "Just eat it, don't you trust me?" But behind these words is a subtle pressure aimed at making you let your guard down. Have you ever noticed that they're insistent on you using a specific cup, or intentionally switching your plate for one they've prepared in advance? Have they ever made you feel guilty for not accepting the food they cooked? These actions, when taken alone, may not raise suspicion. But when pieced together, they reveal a clear manipulation pattern. A pattern designed to make you ignore the gut feelings screaming inside you. Remember, poisoning efforts don't usually start with dramatic behavior. They begin with gentle, even sweet actions. A cup of tea brought to you, a surprise lunchbox. But over time, if you pay attention, you'll notice a terrifying consistency, that this person is always the one, coincidentally, preparing your food, that you start feeling unwell after the meals they bring, that they're the only one who knows exactly what you've eaten. Don't overlook the small details. Interfering too much in your personal food and drink is not always an act of love. Sometimes, it's the clearest sign of a toxic plot. Trusting your instincts is not a sign of excessive suspicion, but the first step in protecting your own life. Sometimes, manipulation doesn't appear in the form of threats or violent behavior. It comes gently with a smile, an offer that seems harmless, "Let me get you a glass of water," or "I cooked this just for you, you have to try it." These small moments, when viewed through the lens of trust, might seem like genuine care. But if they repeat, if they are carried out with such persistence that you feel you have no choice but to agree, then it's no longer kindness. It's control wrapped in the packaging of generosity. A true friend will always respect your boundaries, including your right to decide what you put into your body. They will not overwhelm you with strange persistence, nor make you feel guilty for refusing the food or drink they've prepared. If someone becomes restless, upset, or seems disappointed when you don't follow their advice about what to eat, stop and ask yourself, is this concern or an effort to control disguised as care? Even more concerning is when these behaviors are combined with moments when you let your guard down, like when they create an excuse for you to turn away, leave the table, or look elsewhere while your food or drink is left unattended. A fake compliment about your outfit, an offer to get the napkin from over there, or a casual remark like, "Look, someone is waving at you," all of these could be bait to get you to leave your personal space. And the danger is that these small actions are often overlooked, until a serious consequence occurs. Be cautious if you notice that they always want you to use a specific cup, or continually prepare separate portions for you. A seemingly harmless detail like giving you the bottom of the pot, while they eat from the top, can also be a sign of abnormal behavior. You don't need to panic, but you need to stay alert. Vigilance doesn't make you weak, it keeps you safe. Monitoring your food and drink isn't just for bars or strange parties. It should also apply in your own home, among people who seem the most familiar. Personal safety is always more important than someone else's feelings. You don't owe anyone blind trust, especially when your body and health are being put at risk. And if something makes you uneasy, allow yourself to trust that instinct. Intuition is an evolutionary gift, not a weakness. It exists to keep you alive. When you start to see the bigger picture, when the 5 warning signs come together to form a troubling image, one question becomes clearer than ever. What will you do with this truth? Sometimes, these signs don't appear all at once. They show up scattered, quietly weaving their way into your daily life, silently and slowly, like drops of water falling onto stone, until you suddenly realize you've been sitting too long in a toxic puddle. A good friend will never make you feel suspicious of the food you're eating. A trustworthy person will not push you into a constant state of unease each time you meet. And most importantly, a healthy relationship does not come with feelings of manipulation or control through seemingly harmless things like food or a glass of water. If you're reading these words and feel something stirring within you, perhaps a memory, a specific situation, or a glance that once made you uneasy, then please, do not ignore it. Intuition is the most powerful tool you possess, and it is not a product of weakness. It is the result of millions of years of evolution, programmed to keep you alive. If you find yourself starting to remember strange behaviors, noting the dates when you felt unwell after eating or drinking something prepared by a particular person, this is not a sign of paranoia. It's the action of someone who knows how to protect themselves. And if, somehow, you've gathered evidence, whether it's a medical test result, undeniable physical symptoms, or the suspicious recurrence of symptoms coinciding with the presence of a specific person, know that you have the right to be protected. Do not confront. Do not explain. Do not try to make them understand how much they've hurt you. Let the authorities handle it. And get out of that dangerous space as quickly as possible. After the storm, you will need to heal. Being betrayed by someone once called a friend is a form of deep psychological trauma. But you are not alone. Surround yourself with people who truly care, seek mental health professionals, and know that there is nothing wrong with asking for help. You were not born to be a victim. You were born to live, to grow, to enjoy healthy, safe, and trusting relationships. The knowledge you've just acquired is not to make you fearful, but to make you see clearer, grow stronger, and act wiser. You deserve a life free from toxins, from food, drinks, and the people around you. This is not just your right, but your responsibility to yourself. Once you become aware of the warning signs and begin your journey of self-protection, the next video will be an invaluable resource to help equip you with the necessary tools to continue. This information will not only help you gain a clearer perspective on relationships, but also provide specific steps to keep yourself safe in any situation. Remember, your journey to safety is never alone. With knowledge and self-protection, you can overcome any challenge.